A prison warden sits alone in his office at 3 a.m. Gun loaded, door locked, computer screen glowing. 2 words stare back at him. HIV positive. The woman who gave it to him, dead. 3 floors below, in a body bag. 6 months ago, Gabriel Thornton controlled everything inside Ironwood Correctional Facility. Every gate, every camera, every inmate. He was disciplined, untouchable, alone by choice. When Vivienne Ashford walked through those gates in chains, he thought he was processing just another prisoner. He had no idea she'd already chosen him, studied him, planned for him. By the time Gabriel realized what was happening, his blood was infected, his career destroyed, and someone was dead inside the prison he'd spent 12 years protecting. This isn't a story about an affair. It's about how loneliness becomes a weapon in the hands of someone who knows exactly how to use it. How the person who seems to save you might be the one destroying you all along. And how a single moment of weakness can turn a man who locks people in cages into one of them. Welcome to Compass True Crime Stories. Kindly support and encourage us by subscribing to this channel as we continue to keep you entertained new true crime stories around the world on a daily basis. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our next interesting and chilling true crime story. December hit Idaho like a hammer. Temperatures dropped to 15 below zero. The prison's ancient heating system groaned and rattled, barely keeping up. Inmates huddled in extra layers. Guards moved quickly between buildings, breath visible in frozen clouds. Gabriel found himself in the art studio more often. At first, he told himself it was operational necessity, checking on the heating, ensuring the pipes wouldn't freeze, monitoring a new inmate instructor. But by the 3rd week, he stopped lying to himself. He went because she was there. Their conversations stretched longer. What started as 5-minute inspections became 20-minute discussions, then 40, then an hour. They talked about books, about philosophy, about the concept of justice, and whether prison actually rehabilitated anyone or just warehoused them. Vivienne never tried to charm him. She challenged him. "You really believe structure equals rehabilitation?" she asked one evening, cleaning paintbrushes at the studio sink. Gabriel leaned against a table, arms crossed. "I believe chaos creates more chaos. Order creates possibility. Or it creates dependence," she countered. "People who can't function without someone telling them what to do every hour of every day. You have a better system?" She smiled. "No. That's the tragedy, isn't it? We're all just guessing." Gabriel appreciated that. No pretense of having answers. Just honest uncertainty. It felt like talking to an equal. One night, she told him about her father. They were alone in the studio, late, after the last rounds. Gabriel had stopped by on his way out. Told himself he was just closing up. Vivienne sat on a stool, sketching something in charcoal. Her hands moved with practiced precision. "My father was an alcoholic," she said without looking up. "Brilliant man. Taught classics at a community college. But every night, he'd drink until he couldn't stand. My mother left when I was 9. Said she couldn't watch him destroy himself anymore." Gabriel said nothing. Just listened. "I stayed. Thought I could save him. Cooked his meals, hid his bottles, called in sick for him when he couldn't make it to work." She paused, hand hovering over the paper. "He died when I was 22. Liver failure. I was in grad school. Got the call during a seminar on Renaissance art." "I'm sorry," Gabriel said quietly. She shook her head. "Don't be. I learned something important. You can't save people who don't want to be saved. You just drown with them." The silence stretched. Gabriel heard himself speaking before he realized he'd decided to. "My wife died 8 years ago. Car accident. I was overseas. 3rd deployment. She called me 2 days before it happened. Asked me to come home. Said she needed me." His voice went flat. "I told her I had a duty to finish. That I'd be home in 6 weeks. Vivienne set down her charcoal, turned to face him. She was driving to the grocery store. Gabriel continued. "Pickup truck ran a red light. She died at the scene. I got the call from her sister. Flew home for the funeral. Wore my uniform. Everyone said I looked strong. But you weren't. No. Vivienne stood. Walked over to where he stood. You've been punishing yourself ever since, haven't you? That's why you're here. Why you live alone. Why you run this place like a machine. Because if you stay in control of everything, you can't fail anyone again. Gabriel looked at her. No one had ever said it out loud before. Maybe, he admitted. She didn't touch him. Didn't move closer. You're not a machine, Gabriel. Hearing his first name from her lips did something to his chest. I should go, he said. But he didn't move. Neither did she. Christmas Eve. The prison was quiet. Skeleton crew on duty. Most staff had taken leave. Gabriel volunteered to cover. He had nowhere else to be. He found Vivienne in the studio at 9 p.m. She was crying. Not loud. Just silent tears running down her face as she painted. A family scene. Parents, a child, a Christmas tree. Warm colors. Soft edges. Gabriel stood in the doorway, unsure. I'm sorry, she said, wiping her eyes quickly. I thought everyone had left. Do you want me to go? She shook her head. No. Stay? Please. Gabriel stepped inside, closed the door behind him. He walked to where she stood, looking at the painting. Your family, he asked. The one I wish I'd had. Her voice cracked. I spent 17 Christmases watching my father drink himself unconscious. After he died, I spent them alone. Even when I got married, briefly, didn't last. It never felt like this. She gestured at the painting. Like home. Gabriel understood. I haven't celebrated Christmas since my wife died, he said. Just another day. Vivienne turned to look at him. Her eyes were red but steady. We're a pair, aren't we? Two people who built walls so high we forgot what it's like to let someone in. Something in Gabriel's chest cracked. He reached out, touched her hand. She didn't pull away. This is dangerous, he said quietly. I know. If anyone finds out. I know. They stood there, hands touching, the weight of every rule between them. Vivienne moved first. She stepped closer, looked up at him. Her breath was visible in the cold air of the studio. Tell me to stop, she whispered. Gabriel couldn't. The kiss was soft, hesitant, terrifying. When she pulled back, her eyes searched his face. We can't, she said. But neither of them left. After that night, everything changed. They met in the art studio after hours. In Gabriel's office when the administrative wing was empty. Once, in a storage room in the basement, surrounded by boxes of old files and broken furniture. It wasn't just physical, though there was that, urgent and desperate and absolutely forbidden. It was emotional, a kind of vulnerability Gabriel hadn't allowed himself in years. Vivienne knew him, the real him, not the warden, not the soldier, just Gabriel, flawed, lonely, scared. She told him about her marriage, how her ex-husband had left when the charges came, how her colleagues at the university had stopped returning her calls, how she'd lost everything in a single year. I made terrible choices, she said one night, lying beside him on the floor of his office, wrapped in his coat. I'm not going to pretend I didn't. But I didn't set out to hurt anyone. I just wanted to feel secure. Money felt like safety. And now? Gabriel asked. Now I know safety doesn't exist. Not really. We just pretend it does. Lieutenant Sarah Moreno covered for Gabriel without realizing it. When she noticed him staying late, she assumed he was handling administrative work. When she saw him near the art studio, she thought he was monitoring the new program. Sarah was loyal, competent. She trusted him completely. That trust made the betrayal worse. Gabriel started bending rules. He put in paperwork for Vivienne's early release review, called in favors with the parole board, adjusted security schedules to create windows where they could meet unnoticed. Every decision felt justified in the moment. She wasn't violent. Her crime was financial. She deserved a second chance. But deep down, Gabriel knew the truth. He was compromising everything he'd built. And he didn't care. Dr. Julian Cross cornered Gabriel in the hallway one afternoon in mid-January. We need to talk. Gabriel glanced around. The corridor was empty. About About whatever's happening with you and Ashford. Gabriel's jaw tightened. I don't know what you mean. Julian stepped closer, voice low. Gabriel, I've been doing this job for 15 years. I know the signs. You're distracted. You're making unusual administrative decisions. And you're spending a lot of time in that art studio. She's running a program. I'm supervising. Bullshit. Gabriel's eyes went cold. Careful, Julian. No. You be careful. Julian's voice carried urgency, not anger. I've seen her file. I know what happened in Oregon. 3 male guards got too close to her. All 3 ended up transferred under investigation. She has a pattern. She was cleared of any wrongdoing. Because she's smart. She knows how to make it look like someone else's idea. Someone else's choice. Julian paused. Whatever's happening, end it. Before it ends you. Gabriel's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. If you ever accuse me of improper conduct again, I'll have you reassigned so fast you won't have time to pack your office. Understood. Julian stared at him. You're making a mistake. We're done here. Julian walked away, shaking his head. Gabriel stood alone in the hallway, hands clenched. He knew Julian was right, but he couldn't stop. Late January. Snow piled 6 feet high outside. The world felt smaller, colder, like nothing existed beyond the prison walls. Gabriel and Vivienne lay together in the art studio, hidden behind stacked canvases. The radiator clanked and hissed. I love you, Gabriel said. The words came out before he could stop them. Vivienne went still. A pause. Just a fraction too long. I love you too, she said finally. Gabriel didn't notice the hesitation. Didn't see the way her eyes flickered. Didn't catch the calculated softness in her voice. He just felt relief. When you get out, he said, pulling her closer, we'll figure this out. Get you relocated. Somewhere no one knows either of us. Start over. Vivienne rested her head on his chest. You'd really do that? Leave everything. For you? Yes. She kissed him. Soft. Tender. You're a good man, Gabriel Thornton. He wanted to believe her. By early February, Gabriel felt off. Tired. Run down. A persistent low-grade fever he couldn't shake. He told himself it was stress. The winter. Long hours. Vivienne noticed. You look exhausted, she said one evening, touching his forehead. You're burning up. I'm fine. You're not. You need to see a doctor. I don't have time. Her voice turned firm. Gabriel, I need you healthy. I need you around. Please. For me. He heard concern. Affection. Love. He didn't hear the insurance policy clicking into place. Okay, he agreed. I'll schedule something. She kissed him. Thank you. The appointment was set for February 10th. Routine physical. Nothing major. Gabriel sat in the clinic waiting room, flipping through a magazine he wasn't reading. The doctor called him in. Took his vitals. Asked standard questions. Any recent changes in health? Unexplained fatigue? Night sweats? Gabriel paused. Some. I thought it was just winter. The doctor examined him. Felt his lymph nodes. Frowned. These are swollen. I'm going to order blood work. Just to be safe. What are you looking for? Could be anything. Infection. Virus. We'll know more in a few days. Gabriel left the clinic with a cotton ball taped to his arm and a vague sense of unease. He drove back to Ironwood, parked in his usual spot. As he walked toward the administrative building, he glanced at the yard. Vivienne stood by the fence, watching him, not waving, not smiling, just watching. Their eyes met across the distance. And for the first time since this began, Gabriel felt afraid. February 14th, Valentine's Day. Gabriel sat in a security briefing, half listening to Sarah review the weekly incident reports. His phone buzzed. Private number. He excused himself, stepped into the hallway. Mr. Thornton? This is Dr. Patel from Boise Medical. We need you to come in immediately. Your blood work came back, and we need to discuss the results in person. Gabriel's stomach dropped. What is it? A pause. Professional. Careful. I'd rather explain when you're here. Can you come this afternoon? Tell me now. Another pause. Longer. Your HIV test came back reactive. Positive. Mr. Thornton, I'm very sorry. The hallway tilted. Gabriel pressed his hand against the wall. The cold concrete felt like the only real thing in the world. That's impossible. I understand this is shocking. We ran the test twice to confirm. You need to come in today. We'll start you on treatment immediately. Discuss next steps. I'll be there in an hour. Gabriel ended the call. Stood frozen in the empty corridor. HIV positive. The words didn't make sense. He'd been careful his entire life. No drugs. No casual partners. His last relationship was with his wife 8 years ago. Then his brain caught up. Vivienne. Gabriel walked to his office. Locked the door. Sat at his desk. His hands were shaking. He pulled up Vivienne's file on his computer. Scrolled through the medical section he'd barely glanced at before. Transfer notes from Oregon State Penitentiary. Routine health screening upon arrival at Ironwood. Nothing flagged. Nothing mentioned. But there were gaps. Sections redacted under medical privacy laws. Gabriel opened a different database. One he technically shouldn't access without cause. Inmate medical records. He found Vivienne's full file. And there it was. HIV positive. Diagnosed 3 years ago while incarcerated in Oregon. On antiretroviral treatment. Viral load undetectable as of last testing. Gabriel stared at the screen. She'd known. For 3 years, she'd known. Every time they touched. Every kiss. Every night they spent together. She knew she was infected, and she never said a word. Gabriel walked to the art studio at 3 p.m. Vivienne was teaching. For inmates sat at tables, working on still life drawings. Everyone out, Gabriel said from the doorway. His voice was flat, cold. The inmates looked up, startled. Vivienne's face went carefully neutral. Warden, we're in the middle of. Now. The inmates gathered their things quickly, filed out in silence. The last one closed the door behind her. Gabriel and Vivienne stood alone in the studio. When did you know? He asked. Vivienne didn't pretend confusion. Her shoulders dropped slightly. Gabriel, when did you know? She took a breath. 3 years. I was diagnosed in Oregon. The confirmation hit like a physical blow. You knew the entire time, Gabriel said. His voice shook. Every time you knew you were infected, and you never told me. I'm on medication. My viral load is undetectable. The risk was my choice. Gabriel's voice cracked. You took that from me. You made decisions about my life, my health, my future without asking. Without telling me. Vivienne stepped forward. I was going to tell you. I swear. I couldn't lose you. So you killed me instead? You're not. I tested positive this morning. Vivienne went pale. No. That's. Gabriel, if I'm undetectable, transmission is almost impossible. Are you sure? They ran it twice. Silence filled the studio like smoke. I'm sorry, Vivienne whispered. I never meant. You never meant what? To infect me? To destroy my career? My life? Gabriel's laugh was bitter. What was this? Some kind of revenge? Way to punish the system? No. I love you. You don't know what love is. Gabriel's voice went quiet. Dangerous. You know what you are? A predator. You saw a lonely man and you used him. You studied me, figured out exactly what I needed to hear, and you fed it to me piece by piece until I was so desperate for connection I stopped thinking. That's not true, isn't it? Gabriel stepped closer. Dr. Cross warned me. He said you did this before in Oregon. That 3 guards got too close and ended up transferred. I thought he was paranoid. But he was right, wasn't he? Vivienne's face hardened. Just slightly. You're upset. I understand. But we can. We're done. Gabriel's voice was ice. You're being transferred to maximum security tonight. I hope they make your life hell. He turned toward the door. Gabriel, please. Don't say my name. He walked out. The door slammed behind him. Gabriel sat in his office for 2 hours. Didn't move. Didn't speak. Just thought. His entire life was over. If the diagnosis became public, his career ended. The scandal alone, Warden having an affair with an inmate, would destroy him. Add HIV transmission, he'd be prosecuted. Even if he kept it quiet, the medication would make him sick. The side effects brutal. He'd have to explain his declining health. Eventually, someone would figure it out, and Vivienne would walk away, serve out her sentence, get paroled, live her life. While he rotted. No. Gabriel opened his bottom desk drawer, pulled out a file he kept locked. Vincent Kane, inmate number 47293, serving 25 years for voluntary manslaughter. Leader of the prison's most dangerous faction. 3 assaults on other inmates in the past 18 months. Gabriel picked up his desk phone, called the security office. Sarah, I need Vincent Kane brought to my office. Private meeting. No recording. Sir, is that now, Lieutenant? 30 minutes later, Vincent sat across from Gabriel's desk. Massive, scarred. Cold eyes that had seen everything and felt nothing. You wanted to see me, Warden? Gabriel leaned back in his chair. I have a job for you. Vincent smiled slowly. I'm listening. That night, Vivienne was moved to maximum security. The women housed there were the worst of the worst. Murderers, gang members, women who'd killed guards, inmates, anyone who got in their way. Vivienne's new cell was half the size of her previous one. Metal bunk, concrete walls, toilet with no seat, sink that dripped constantly. Across the hall, Iris Kane, Vincent's sister, serving life without parole for beating her husband to death with a tire iron. Next door, 2 women who'd killed a prison counselor in Oregon before being transferred. Vivienne understood immediately. Gabriel wasn't just moving her. He was putting her in a cage with wolves. That first night, no one touched her. But they watched, whispered, laughed. Vivienne lay on her bunk, staring at the ceiling, and realized something. She'd underestimated him. But Vivienne hadn't survived 4 years in prison by being helpless. The next day, during recreation, she approached Iris Kane. I know what he offered your brother, Vivienne said quietly. Iris turned. Eyes like flint. You don't know shit. Reduced sentence. Better cell. Commissary privileges. In exchange for making my life hell. Vivienne leaned closer. But here's what Vincent didn't tell you. The warden doesn't keep promises to inmates. Once I'm broken, once I'm handled, your brother becomes a liability. Iris said nothing. Just listened. Men like Gabriel Thornton don't leave loose ends. Vivienne continued. Vincent does his job, and 6 months later, something unfortunate happens. A fight. An accident. Suddenly the only witness to the warden's deal is gone. Why should I believe you? Vivienne pulled a small piece of paper from her pocket. Contraband. Smuggled in from the art studio. On it, dates, times, guard schedules. Patterns Gabriel had changed in recent weeks. All pointing to systematic preparation for something. Because I've been documenting everything, Vivienne said. And if you're smart, you'll warn your brother before he becomes Gabriel's next victim. Iris stared at the paper. Then she smiled. Slow and dangerous. You're good. Vivienne smiled back. I'm still alive. Dr. Julian Cross sat in his office, reviewing files. He'd noticed something odd. Gabriel hadn't been sleeping. Dark circles under his eyes. Weight loss. Tremors in his hands during their last conversation. Julian pulled Gabriel's employee health records. Recent physical. Blood work ordered. He shouldn't access the results. Medical privacy. But something felt wrong. Julian made a call to a contact at Boise Medical. 10 minutes later, he had his answer. Gabriel was HIV positive. And the only new relationship Gabriel had was with Vivienne Ashford. Julian sat back in his chair, mind racing. This wasn't just an affair anymore. This was systematic destruction. Lieutenant Sarah Moreno reviewed security footage from the past month. Routine check. Nothing unusual. Except one thing. Camera 7 in the administrative wing had been offline for 30 minutes every Tuesday and Thursday night. Same time. Same duration. Technical glitch, the maintenance log said. But Sarah had been in security for 10 years. Glitches weren't that precise. She pulled footage from surrounding cameras. Tracked movement patterns. Gabriel entering the art studio after hours. Leaving 2 hours later. Vivienne's cell being accessed outside normal rounds. Sarah's stomach turned. She'd covered for him, made excuses, trusted him completely, and he'd been lying the entire time. Gabriel sat in his office at midnight. The gun was back in his desk drawer, loaded, ready, but he didn't reach for it. Because Vincent Kane had agreed to the job, the wheels were in motion. Vivienne would suffer. Then, when she was broken enough, Vincent would finish it. Make it look like prison violence. Inmate conflict. Tragic, but not uncommon. Gabriel would get his revenge. And no one would ever know. His computer dinged. New email. Anonymous sender. Subject line. You're not the only one watching. Gabriel opened it. Inside, photographs. Him and Vivienne in the art studio. His office. Time-stamped. Dated. And a message. She's playing you again. And this time, everyone's watching. The question is, who gets destroyed first? Gabriel stared at the screen. Someone else was in the game. And he had no idea who. Right now, you're watching a man who thinks he's in control. Who believes revenge will restore what was stolen from him. But here's the truth that'll keep you up tonight. Every victim thinks they're different. Every person who's been manipulated believes they'll see it coming next time. Gabriel Thornton spent 20 years reading criminals, and he still became one. So before you click away, before you tell yourself this could never be you, ask yourself how many red flags you've ignored because someone made you feel less alone. This story isn't over, and neither is the lesson. If someone poisons your blood while claiming to love you, does seeking revenge make you powerful, or does it just prove they're still controlling every choice you make? March 3rd, the State Corrections Board scheduled their annual inspection of Ironwood for March 15th. Gabriel had 12 days. 12 days before outside investigators walked through his facility, reviewed records, interviewed staff and inmates. 12 days before someone potentially discovered the affair, the favoritism, the security breaches. 12 days before his entire life collapsed in public. Vincent Kane needed to move now. Gabriel called the meeting for 9 p.m. His office. No cameras. No witnesses. Vincent arrived with 2 of his associates. Men who'd killed before and would again without hesitation. We have a problem, Gabriel said. Timelines moved up. It needs to happen this week. Vincent leaned back in his chair. Rushing creates mistakes. Waiting creates exposure. What's the plan? Gabriel slid a piece of paper across the desk. Guard schedule. Camera blind spots. A 20-minute window on Thursday night when maximum security would have minimal coverage. Make it look like inmate conflict, Gabriel said. Nothing elaborate. Nothing that screams setup. Vincent studied the paper. And my end of the deal? Sentence reduction recommendation filed the day after. Better cell assignment immediate. Commissary account funded weekly. Vincent nodded slowly. Thursday night. Consider it done. The men left. Gabriel sat alone in his office. His hands weren't shaking anymore. He'd crossed a line he could never uncross. Conspiracy to commit murder. Abuse of authority. Everything he'd spent his career upholding, he was now destroying. But Vivienne had destroyed him first. Fair was fair. Vivienne knew something was coming. The guards looked at her differently now. Not with authority, with anticipation. Like they were waiting for a show. Tuesday morning, during breakfast, Iris Kane sat down across from her. My brother's planning something, Iris said quietly. Thursday night. You won't survive it. Vivienne's face stayed calm. Why are you telling me? Because you were right. Vincent's being used. And I don't let my family get played. What do you want? Iris smiled. Insurance. You said you've been documenting everything. Prove it. Vivienne had prepared for this. She'd smuggled a phone into the prison 3 months ago. Contraband from a guard she'd befriended in Oregon before her transfer. A man who owed her a favor. Every conversation with Gabriel. Every meeting. Recorded. Video of them together in the art studio. His office. Timestamps. Dates. She'd also created false medical records. Documents showing she disclosed her HIV status to Gabriel before their relationship began. Consent forms with forged signatures. Just convincing enough to create reasonable doubt. I have everything, Vivienne said. But if something happens to me, it all goes public. Anonymous upload to the State Corrections Board. Local news. Everyone. Show me. Vivienne pulled a small USB drive from inside her sock. Hidden. Smuggled during the transfer. Iris took it. Examined it. This real. Every byte. Iris slipped it into her pocket. Vincent needs to see this. Tonight. Dr. Julian Cross couldn't stay quiet anymore. He'd filed an anonymous complaint with the State Corrections Oversight Board that morning. No names. Just concerns about potential staff misconduct at Ironwood. Unusual administrative decisions. Security irregularities. Enough to trigger questions without directly accusing Gabriel. Julian knew it was career-ending if Gabriel found out. But watching a man self-destruct while potentially harming an inmate, even one as manipulative as Vivienne, violated every ethical standard Julian had. That afternoon, Julian requested an emergency meeting with Vivienne. Prison protocol allowed psychologists to meet with any inmate expressing mental health concerns. Vivienne was brought to his office at 4 p.m. "I know what's happening," Julian said once the door closed. Vivienne's face remained neutral. "I don't know what you mean. Gabriel's planning something. I don't know what, but I know it involves you. And I know he's not thinking clearly. Why are you telling me this?" "Because despite what you've done, you don't deserve to die in here." Vivienne studied him. "You think he'd actually kill me?" "I think he's desperate. Infected. Facing professional destruction. And desperate men do desperate things." Vivienne leaned forward. "Then help me." "How?" "File a formal report. Today. Not anonymous. On record. State that you have concerns about Warden Thornton's fitness for duty. Request immediate external review. That'll destroy his career. He's already destroyed. The question is how many people he takes down with him." Julian sat back in his chair. She was right. "I'll file it before I leave tonight," he said. Vivienne smiled. "Thank you, Doctor." March 6th, 8 p.m. The prison settled into its evening routine. Dinner finished. Inmates returned to cells. Lights dimming. Gabriel stood in his office, watching the clock. 9:30 p.m. Vincent would move at 9:30. Sarah Moreno knocked on his door. "Sir, can we talk?" Gabriel looked up. "Not now, Lieutenant. It's important." "I said not now." Sarah didn't leave. "I know about the affair." Gabriel's blood went cold. "I reviewed the security footage," Sarah continued. "The camera outages. Your schedule. I know what's been happening." "Sarah, I don't care about the relationship. You're an adult. She's an adult. But transferring her to maximum security, meeting with Vincent Kane, altering guard schedules." Sarah's voice shook. "Sir, what are you doing?" Gabriel's jaw tightened. "Maintaining order. By conspiring with inmates? By putting someone in danger. She infected me." Gabriel's voice cracked. "She knew. For 3 years, she knew she was HIV positive, and she never told me. She destroyed my life." Sarah stared at him. "So you're going to destroy hers?" "She deserves it." "Maybe. But you don't deserve to become a murderer." Gabriel looked away. "It's already in motion." "Then stop it." "I can't." "You can. Call it off. Right now. Before it's too late." Gabriel said nothing. Sarah stepped closer. "Gabriel, you saved my career 5 years ago when I was facing false accusations. You fought for me. Believed in me. Let me return the favor. Don't do this." For a moment, Gabriel wavered. Then his phone buzzed. Text message. "Vincent. In position. Get out, Lieutenant," Gabriel said quietly. "Sir, that's an order." Sarah left. But as she walked down the hallway, she made a decision. She pulled out her phone and dialed 911. "This is Lieutenant Sarah Moreno, Ironwood Correctional Facility. I need to report an emergency situation." 9:30 p.m. Vincent and 3 men moved through maximum security. Guards on duty looked the other way. Paid off. Complicit. They reached Vivienne's cell. She was awake, sitting on her bunk. Calm. "Evening, Professor," Vincent said, unlocking the door. Vivienne stood slowly. Vincent, I was hoping we could talk first. No talking, just business. Your sister gave you the drive? Vincent's eyes narrowed. What drive? Iris appeared from the cell next door, holding the USB. This one, she said. Vincent looked between them. What the hell is this? Insurance, Vivienne said. Everything on that drive goes public if I die. Your deal with the warden. The conspiracy. All of it. You'll get life without parole. And Gabriel? He'll go to prison too. Vincent's face darkened. You're bluffing. Am I? Iris handed him the drive. Look for yourself. Vincent hesitated, then pulled a phone from his pocket. Check the files. His face went pale. Audio recordings. Video. Documentation. All of it. You set me up, Vincent said. No. Gabriel set you up. I'm offering you a way out. How? Let me go? Walk away, and I'll make sure this never sees daylight. Vincent's men shifted nervously. One of them, a man named Ray, spoke up. We should just kill her and destroy the drive. There are backups, Vivienne said smoothly. Uploaded to a cloud server with a dead man's switch. If I don't check in every 48 hours, everything gets released automatically. It was a lie, but Vincent didn't know that. Vincent stared at her. You're good. I'm alive. Vincent made a decision. Change of plans, he said to his men. We're not touching her. But the warden played us. Used us. And now he's a liability. Iris smiled. So what do we do? Vincent's eyes went cold. We go have a conversation with Gabriel Thornton. They left Vivienne's cell, moved through the prison, heading toward the administrative building. Gabriel sat in his office, waiting for confirmation. His phone buzzed. Text from Vincent. Need to talk. In person. Now. Gabriel frowned. Something felt wrong. He replied. Status? Vincent. Complicated. You need to see this. Gabriel stood. Checked his desk drawer. The gun was still there. He left it. Walked down to meet Vincent in the old chapel, the art studio where this had all begun. The building was dark. Empty. Gabriel stepped inside. Vincent. Lights snapped on. Vincent stood in the center of the room, flanked by his men, and next to him, Vivienne. Gabriel's blood turned to ice. What is this? Insurance, Vincent said. Turns out the professor here is smarter than both of us. Vivienne stepped forward, holding a phone. Camera recording. Hello, Gabriel. You really thought I didn't plan for this? Vivienne's voice was calm, almost gentle. Gabriel's hands clenched. Vincent, we had a deal. Deals change, Vincent said. Especially when one party forgets to mention they're setting the other up for a murder charge. Vivienne held up the phone. Everything's on here. The affair. Your meetings with Vincent. Audio of you ordering him to hurt me. Video of us together with timestamps proving you initiated the relationship. That's not, it is. And there's more. Vivienne's smile was cold now. Medical records showing I disclosed my status to you before we slept together. Consent forms with your signature. All fabricated, yes, but convincing enough to create reasonable doubt. Gabriel's world tilted. You planned this. From the beginning. From the moment I saw your file in Oregon. Widower. Lonely. Disciplined to the point of isolation. Perfect target. The HIV. Real. And yes, I knew. But my viral load is undetectable. Transmission was unlikely. You getting infected? She shrugged. Bad luck. Or maybe karma. Gabriel lunged at her. Vincent's men grabbed him. Held him back. Here's what happens now, Vivienne said. You resign. Quietly. Cite health reasons. Recommend me for immediate parole review. And you disappear. Or what? Or I release everything. Your affair. Your conspiracy with Vincent. Your plan to have an inmate murdered. You'll lose your career, your freedom, and what's left of your dignity. Gabriel stared at her. I loved you. No. You loved the idea of not being alone. I just gave you what you were starving for. Gabriel wrenched free from the men holding him. Charged at Vivienne. She stepped back. Tripped over a paint can. Fell hard. Officer Peter Reeves, young guard Gabriel had mentored, positioned outside as lookout, heard the commotion. burst through the door. Saw Gabriel lunging. Vivienne on the ground. Instinct took over. Peter swung his baton. Aimed for Gabriel. Gabriel ducked. The baton hit Vivienne's temple. The sound was sickening. Wet. Final. She dropped. Everyone froze. Peter stared at his hands. I was trying to. Vincent knelt beside Vivienne. Checked her pulse. Nothing. Blood pooled beneath her head. Her eyes stared at nothing. "Oh God," Peter whispered. "Oh God, I killed her." Gabriel stood motionless. Vivienne's phone lay on the floor. Screen cracked. Still recording. Vincent stood. Looked at his men. At Marcus. At Gabriel. "Everyone listen. This was an accident. Inmate attacked the warden. Officer responded. Tragic, but justified." Peter shook his head. No, I can't." "You can and you will," Vincent said. "We're all in this now. If she dies a murder, we all go down." "What about the phone?" one of Vincent's men asked. Vincent picked it up. Handed it to Gabriel. "Your call, Warden." Gabriel stared at the device. Everything was on here. All of Vivienne's evidence. Her backup plan. Destroy it, and maybe, this could be contained. Before he could decide, sirens wailed outside. Police. Responding to Sarah's 911 call. "We're out of time," Vincent said. Medical personnel burst into the chapel. Police behind them. Vivienne's body on the floor. Blood spreading. Gabriel holding the phone. Officer Peter Reeves sobbing. "I didn't mean to. I swear I didn't mean to." A detective walked in. Took in the scene. Looked directly at Gabriel. "Warden Thornton, you need to come with us." Gabriel said nothing. Just stared at Vivienne's body. The woman who destroyed him. Who he'd tried to destroy in return. Who'd planned it all. And who was now dead by pure accident. If your heart is racing right now, if you're feeling that sick twist in your stomach, that's not entertainment. That's recognition. You're seeing how fast everything can collapse when two people decide to weaponize each other's loneliness. If this story is gripping you, if it's showing you something about human nature you can't unsee, share it. Because someone in your life might be in a relationship right now that feels intoxicating but looks suspicious to everyone else. Someone might be ignoring warnings because connection feels too good to question. Hit that like button. Share this video. Not for me. For them. If someone dies while you're trying to hurt them, even if you didn't strike the blow, does your intention make you guilty? Or is accidental death just the universe's twisted version of justice? Detectives Rachel Hartley and James Wu arrived at Ironwood within the hour. 20-year veterans. They'd seen prison violence before, but something about this scene felt different. Too many people. Too much panic. Too calculated. Vivienne Ashford's body was photographed, documented, removed. Officer Peter Reeves sat in an interrogation room, head in his hands, repeating the same words. "It was an accident. I was trying to protect the warden." Vincent Kane and his men were separated, isolated, each telling the same story with suspicious precision. Gabriel stood in his office, watching through the window as crime scene techs processed the chapel. Detective Hartley knocked. Entered without waiting for permission. "Warden Thornton, we need to talk." Gabriel turned. "Of course. Whatever you need. Walk me through what happened tonight." Gabriel's voice was steady, controlled. "I received a report of inmate violence in the old chapel. I responded. When I arrived, Miss Ashford attacked me. Officer Reeves intervened to protect me. It was tragic, but necessary." Hartley studied him. Inmate Ashford was 5'6", 130 pounds. "You're 6'2", former military. Why would she attack you?" "I don't know. Maybe she was having a psychological episode. Dr. Cross says she was stable. No history of violence." "Then I can't explain it." Detective Wu played it for Detective Hartley in their temporary office at the prison. "We've got conspiracy," Wu said. "Abuse of authority. Maybe even attempted murder." "But not murder itself," Hartley replied. "The actual death was accidental." Officer Reeves's baton. "Wrong place, wrong time." "So what charges?" Hartley leaned back. "Conspiracy to commit assault. Abuse of power. Depends on what the DA wants to pursue. And Ashford? Was she a victim or a manipulator? Hartley pulled up Vivienne's file from Oregon. The complaints from 3 guards. All dropped. All transferred. Both, Hartley said. She targeted him. But he took the bait. And then he tried to have her killed. Tragic all around. Tragedy doesn't cover it. This is what happens when 2 people decide to destroy each other, and everyone's too close to see it coming. Lieutenant Sarah Moreno sat in the witness chair, hands folded. She'd been granted immunity in exchange for testimony. The prosecutor, a woman named Janet Torres, asked the questions. Lieutenant Moreno, how long have you worked under Warden Thornton? 6 years. Would you describe him as a good supervisor? Sarah's voice cracked. He was excellent. Fair. Principled. He saved my career once when I was falsely accused of misconduct. I trusted him completely. When did that trust begin to change? Late December. I noticed him staying late. Spending time near the art studio. He seemed distracted. Different. Did you confront him? Yes. Multiple times. He told me nothing was wrong. But I reviewed security footage. Found the camera outages. The pattern. What did you do with that information? I confronted him the night Miss Ashford died. Told him I knew about the affair. Begged him to stop whatever he was planning. And what did he say? Sarah looked at Gabriel across the courtroom. Tears ran down her face. He said it was already in motion. That he couldn't stop it. So you called 911. Yes. I couldn't let him become something he wasn't. Even if it meant betraying him. Sarah broke down. The prosecutor paused, let the moment land. Gabriel stared at the table. Didn't look up. Dr. Julian Cross testified next. He explained Gabriel's HIV diagnosis. The timeline. The transmission risk from someone with an undetectable viral load. Is it possible Warden Thornton contracted HIV from Miss Ashford? Torres asked. Possible, yes. But statistically unlikely if she was properly medicated and her viral load was truly undetectable. Could he have contracted it elsewhere? Also possible. HIV has a window period where testing may not immediately show infection. Without knowing his complete sexual history, it's impossible to say definitively. But Warden Thornton believed Miss Ashford infected him. Yes, and that belief drove his actions. The defense attorney, a man named Robert Charles, stood for cross-examination. Dr. Cross, you filed a complaint about Warden Thornton's fitness for duty the day before Miss Ashford's death. What? Julian paused. I observed behavioral changes. Emotional instability. I was concerned. Were you aware of their relationship? I suspected. Did you report it? Not initially. I should have. That's something I'll have to live with. Vincent Kane took the stand wearing an orange jumpsuit and chains. He'd accepted a plea deal. Testimony in exchange for a reduced sentence on his original conviction. Torres walked him through the night. Gabriel approached him. What exactly did Warden Thornton ask you to do? He wanted me to hurt her. Badly. Make it look like prison violence. And what did he offer in return? Sentence reduction recommendation. Better sell. Money in my commissary account. Did you agree? Initially, yes. Why didn't you follow through? Vincent's face hardened. Because Miss Ashford showed me I was being set up. That once I did the job, I'd become a liability. She had evidence. Recordings. Documentation. If I touched her, it all went public and I'd get life. So you confronted Warden Thornton instead? Yes. Brought her with me to show him we knew what he was planning. And then what happened? He lost it. Went after her. Officer Reeves tried to stop him. Hit her by mistake. The defense attorney attacked on Cross. Mr. Kane, you're a convicted killer, correct? Yes. You've assaulted 3 inmates in the past 2 years. Yes. And you expect this court to believe you suddenly developed a conscience. Vincent smiled coldly. I developed self-preservation. There's a difference. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Gabriel sat through every moment, listening to his life dissected, his choices exposed, his weaknesses displayed for public consumption. The charges, conspiracy to commit assault, abuse of authority, official misconduct, not murder. The prosecution couldn't prove Gabriel intended Vivienne's death, only her harm. And the actual death was ruled accidental. Officer Peter Reeves took a plea deal. Negligent homicide. Suspended sentence. Counseling. He'd never work in law enforcement again, but he wouldn't go to prison. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Guilty on all counts for Gabriel. Sentencing hearing scheduled for 2 weeks later. Gabriel sat motionless as the verdict was read. In the gallery, Sarah Moreno cried quietly. Dr. Julian Cross looked away. Vincent Kane, watching via video feed from prison, showed no expression. The judge was a woman in her 60s named Helen Matthew. She'd reviewed every piece of evidence. Read every testimony. Watch the recordings. Mr. Thornton, you spent 20 years in military service protecting this country. 12 years as a prison warden maintaining order and safety. By all accounts, you were exceptional at your job. Gabriel stood, said nothing. But you allowed loneliness to compromise your judgment. You allowed manipulation to turn you into the very thing you spent your career containing. And when you discovered the betrayal, you chose revenge over justice. Judge Matthew paused. Miss Ashford was no innocent. Her actions were calculated, predatory. She targeted you deliberately, but her sins don't absolve yours. On the charge of conspiracy to commit assault, 8 years, state prison. On the charge of abuse of authority, for years, concurrent. On the charge of official misconduct, 2 years, concurrent. Total sentence, 8 years. Eligible for parole after 6. Gabriel nodded once. You'll be transferred to a facility 3 states away, the judge continued. You will never work in corrections or law enforcement again. And Mr. Thornton? Gabriel looked up. I hope you spend those 8 years understanding that the person who destroyed you most was yourself. Gabriel Thornton, prisoner number 847293, worked in the library at Redwood State Penitentiary. Medium security. General population. The other inmates knew who he was. Word spread fast in prison. Some respected the fall. Others tried to exploit it. Gabriel kept to himself. Took his HIV medication daily. Viral load now undetectable. He'd likely live a normal lifespan. Physically, anyway. He attended mandated therapy sessions. Said little. The therapist noted he showed signs of depression, but was compliant with treatment. One afternoon, Lieutenant Sarah Moreno visited. They sat across from each other in the visitation room. Long table. Plastic chairs. Guard watching from the corner. Sarah had aged in 8 months. New lines around her eyes. Gray starting at her temples. How are you? She asked. Alive. That's something. Silence. I got a letter from Dr. Cross, Sarah said. He left Ironwood. Works at a clinic now. Says he thinks about that night every day. Gabriel said nothing. I do too, Sarah continued. I keep wondering if I could have stopped it earlier. If I'd pushed harder, confronted you sooner. You tried, Gabriel said quietly. I didn't listen. Would it have mattered? Gabriel thought about that. No, probably not. I was already gone by then. Sarah's eyes filled. I forgave you months ago. The question is whether you ever will. Gabriel looked at her. Ask me in 6 years. Sarah nodded. Stood to leave. At the door, she turned back. She destroyed you, Gabriel. But you let her. Every choice was yours. I know. Sarah left. Gabriel returned to his cell. Lay on his bunk. Stared at the ceiling. 3 days after Sarah's visit, Gabriel received mail. An envelope. Postmarked 2 days before Vivienne's death. She'd written it knowing what was coming. Gabriel opened it with shaking hands. Dear Gabriel, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. One way or another. You think you destroyed me. You think you saw through my manipulation and turned the tables. But here's the truth you'll spend years trying to accept. I chose you before I ever walked into Ironwood. I reviewed files for 6 months, looking for the perfect target. Widower. Isolated. Principled. A man who'd built walls so high he'd forgotten they were also a cage. The HIV? That was just biology. Bad luck. The real infection was psychological. I made you love me. Then I made you hate me. Then I made you become everything you spent your career fighting. You'll wonder if I ever loved you. Here's your answer. I'm incapable of love. But I am capable of fascination. And you, Gabriel Thornton, fascinated me. You were so controlled, so disciplined, so convinced of your moral superiority. I wanted to see what it would take to turn the warden into the inmate. Not much, as it turns out. Don't feel bad. You weren't the first. In Oregon, there was a deputy warden named Thomas. Before that, a guard captain in California named David. Both fell the same way. Loneliness is the greatest weakness. And I've always been good at finding weakness. Consider this my gift to you, clarity. You didn't lose to me. You lost to yourself. V. Gabriel read the letter 3 times. Then he burned it in the small metal sink in his cell. Watched the paper curl and blacken. Watched the ink run. Watched the ashes scatter. And for the first time since his diagnosis, he cried. Not for Vivienne. Not for his destroyed career. For the man he used to be. The man who believed discipline and control could protect him from human vulnerability. That man was gone. What remained was just another prisoner. Learning to survive. Prison doesn't change people. It reveals them. Gabriel Thornton spent 20 years believing he was immune to manipulation because he understood the criminal mind. What he didn't understand was his own. Vivienne Ashford is dead. Killed by accident in a confrontation she engineered. A master manipulator who finally pushed too far. Gabriel is alive, but imprisoned. Not just by concrete and bars, but by the knowledge that every choice he made was his own. Somewhere out there, another lonely person in power is about to meet someone who sees their weakness before they do. Someone who will offer connection, understanding, love. And by the time they realize it was a weapon, the damage will already be done. The question isn't whether it could happen. The question is, would you recognize it in time? You made it to the end. Most people don't. Most people click away when stories stop being entertaining and start being mirrors. But you stayed, which means you saw something here. Something that made you uncomfortable. Maybe you recognized Gabriel's loneliness. Maybe you saw Vivienne's tactics in someone you know. Or maybe, and this is the hard part, you saw yourself in one of them. Right now, someone you care about might be in a relationship that looks perfect but feels wrong to everyone around them. Someone might be ignoring warnings because connection feels too rare to question. Share this story, not because I'm asking, but because silence protects predators. Comment below if this changed how you see manipulation. Subscribe if you want stories that show you the truth about human nature, even when it's ugly. Because the next story could save someone. And if you keep it to yourself, who else will reach them? If being loved was someone's way of studying how to destroy you, would you choose loneliness instead? Or is the risk of connection still worth it, even knowing what it could cost? Thank you for watching to the end, and see you in our next episode of Compass True Crime Stories. Stay safe.